just to make money. It's like you're doing something that's not needed. You're providing a service to the world that's not needed. You're making food that doesn't help. It actually hurts us. That food is killing us, but it makes money. You know what I mean? That television show is hurting us, but it makes money. This music is killing us. It's rotting us, but it makes money. That's the system we live in. That goes for any industry. You can look at it and go, that's not helping the world. But it's making money. So it's helping somebody.
Yeah.
Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't African, the talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the African American is confused and lost and did not come over here stuck in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, Buck Wylam, and tonight we're going to hit the airways with what everybody's hitting the airways with today, and that's the death of Walter Scott. Another one of us bit the dust, y'all. Another one of us fell. Could you mute your phones, please? Another one of us bit the dust. And what are we going to do about it? Are we just going to bitch and complain like we always do, or are we going to really start looking at why we're being wiped out and start thinking? Because a lot of people always want to ask, well, what's the solution? The solution is to start thinking. And maybe our young males, our fathers, grandfathers, sons, daughters will stop being wiped out. The words that we use should put us into action, but they don't. Why does the image of death surround the so-called African American? Why every time you see us, death is related to us? We're never really into life-affirming things. We're just on this death trip. If it's not somebody shooting us in one of their stores because we're too stupid to have our own stores, because what else could it be? I know some of the words I may say may offend some, but that's not the point. Come on, y'all, really? We in 2015 and we still doing this? Why does death surround us? And the reason death surrounds us is because we live under occupation. And under occupation, indigenous people really have no place to go, for it is they who are under occupation. Walter Scott's life was snuffed out this week when a foreign agent shot him in the back as he was running away from him. Why does this constantly happen? I mean, I can just go back a few months and the same image is repeating itself. Why are we constantly seeing this image? Well, tonight we're going to find out. Joining me as always is my co-host, Rick Moon. Rick Moon, what's going on, brother?
Ain't nothing else everybody out there doing. Yes, and hopefully we can answer some of those questions that we have, because this is really going too far.
So, Rick, we hope you have some, you can give some thoughts and some insight on, why this keeps happening tonight. We'll be looking forward to that. Also from Memphis, Niecy Lachelle, how you doing, sister? How you feeling tonight?
Oh, everything's great. Just looking at this drama as it plays out in front of us like everybody else. How y'all brothers doing?
All right, Niecy.
All is well. And from Seattle joining us tonight is our brother from Seattle, Siblings joining us tonight all the way from the Canadian, Alaska, Washington border. What's going on, brother?
Peace and prosperity, Sibling. I thank y'all for having me. Let's make it happen.
All right. Another sacrifice, y'all. Another sacrifice. In the last few months, you've heard about Trayvon, Jordan Davis, Eric Gardner. It seems like this death thing is constantly surrounding the African American. Why is that? Why does this go on and on and on and on and on and on and on? This case is like all the others. It seems like we have gotten comfortable with what's happening to us. Have we? Rick.
I don't think we've gotten comfortable. But go ahead, Rick.
Rick.
Maybe we have gotten a little comfortable because, we seem to let it happen, and all we do is just let justice take care of. I mean, when is this going to stop?
Why does it keep going on, Rick? I mean, what is our part in all this?
I think that we've basically been kind of brainwashed, and we think that it's all this is part of life, but it's not. It's all death, and most people don't understand that, and that's a big reason why we're in this situation.
Nisi, do you think that since we always, when you see the African American male, death is always equated to it? As a mother who has sons, what are you seeing out of this? And have we gotten comfortable with the situation that we're in?
I'm going to agree with Rick, my brother Rick. This is some brainwashing, but I like to just try to think about these words that we're using. It's really brain pollutants. Brainwashing is what you want to do. Have a brain rinsing. So we're not doing that. So this is the result of brain pollutants. We need a brain enema. Those kind of things to get the things that is making us do things that we shouldn't be doing, get out of that indoctrinated mindset. I think a lot of it has to do with fear. We have now become ingrained and encapsulated in fear. We don't even really know what we're afraid of, because you can't be that afraid that you would do something that you know you're automatically going to put yourself in harm's way, that you can get beaten or worse, killed, because you do something as simple as run. But it goes back to fight or flight. So since the male isn't going to fight the police, rarely are they going to. They're going to run.
So is that indicative of the so-called African American male sibling, where we love to fight each other, we can cuss each other out better than anyone else, but like Nisi said, when it's time to fight or flight, we seem to flee from the people who are occupying us, but when it's each other, we stand and fight to the death. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you look at some of the young brothers out there who are lost and confused in the gang violence right now, a lot of these, especially white cops, are terrified of these young brothers. They're no more than 13, 14 years old, and they'll run straight up to him while he's shooting and shooting right in his face, trying to shoot him first. So they've seen some real gangsterism and death, like in Chicago, that's going on right now. As soon as Chicago have good weather, everything goes to hell. I was trying to say earlier that I don't think we've gotten comfortable because of exactly what Nisi was talking about, and that is we are responding from a program. So it's not necessarily that we're comfortable. We're literally out of our minds when we respond to this. Now, everybody, might have a different response, but I think it's very necessary that we evaluate everybody's response.
So, Nisi, we haven't gotten comfortable. We're not comfortable. What are we doing when we see in our children getting caught up? Why is it that it doesn't automatically? Why don't we automatically say, you know what, we have to put our weapons down against each other and look at how to deal with this situation? Because it seems like when we kill ourselves off, it gives others carte blanche to go ahead and jump in and do the same thing. Because you never hear brothers going into the Arab community killing them. You never hear black males going into the Asian community killing them. We're always killing and disrespecting each other. By the way, we opened up with Respect Yourself by the Staple Singers because we want to really put this thing's going on in context. The brother who was killed was running away from this officer. Rick, how did this action put the officer's life in danger, and was the officer's life in danger? And if this wasn't caught on tape, would anything be done or said about it?
Well, the proof is in the pudding. No, the officer was not in danger, and he didn't have to do anything. The guy was trying to run away from him. He didn't present any weapons or anything, to do any action like he wanted to harm the officer or anything. But also, like I said, and I think I said in the earlier show, one thing we don't realize is, we're still considered slaves, and there is no penalty against killing a slave.
Nisi, what are your thoughts on what happened?
Well, brother, I'm just going to say this. The brother, when he ran from the police, what's his name, Walter Scott, he had told, now this is where you cast spells on yourself. I saw two of his brothers because there were three of them. He told them that he would not go to jail for child support. So this was kind of like a running joke, and I happened to hear it on one of the interviews with his family. He just wasn't going to jail for child support. So, okay, the warrant, he had an outstanding warrant. That's what it seems to be conveying for child support. I ain't going to jail for child support. No, so you'd rather be dead than to go sit in, your family pay a few $100s and get you out. It's a bad system. It is a caste system. It's all the things that we know. But you have said and cast a spell on yourself saying, I ain't going to jail. Now, when they come for you and issue a warrant with your name on it, or say that there is one, we live in this corporation, you are shadowed to that extent, and you are going to jail. So
Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's with the exception of that, it just seems to me that are some of our men wanting to commit suicide? We don't have assisted suicide in but a couple of states, but when you think about it, we have assisted suicide in all 50 states because there is such thing called suicide by cop. They will assist you in all 50 states. That's really what I wanted to say.
Sibling, do you agree with that assessment from Sister Nisi?
Oh, yes, and I would actually like to expound on the concept that a cop is no different than a pit bull. If you've seen a freaking 200-pound pit bull sitting in the corner, would you go over and kick it? Would you go even close to that pit bull? See, what we don't understand is when we, as a people, the indigenous people of this continent, we've been under siege for quite some time right now. And we got to understand, when you are under siege, there's a certain amount of culture that you have to practice. Like when you're dealing with when you're dealing with the individuals who got your people under siege. When that man got pulled over by the cops, and I saw the video of what happened, but here's the thing. He got out of the car, he started running, the cop took after him. Now, right there I'm saying you're not making the wisest decision to get out of a car and run for your life when all you had to do was go to jail. And I think I agree 100% with what Nisi was saying. The man didn't have to go to jail. I mean, he didn't have to die. He made a choice because he's kicked a freaking pit bull. You don't kick pit bulls, man.
Well, let's take a listen from the Walter Scott family. And one of the things, we're getting killed so much that it's even become numb to me. Because the disrespect and the hatred that I get from the people in my own community is sickening. And I know they don't know any better, but that ain't no excuse. Let's take a listen to Walter Scott's family, and I want you to hear the sound of a mother who's just lost their son. And this is what pisses me off about us. We don't seem to hear this. The sound of a mother as she's explaining why her son got killed. Check this out.
When I looked at that tape, that was the most horrible thing I've ever seen. I am very, very upset concerning it. I almost couldn't look at it. To see my son running defenselessly, being shot, it just tore my heart to pieces. And I pray that this never happened to another person. This has got to stop.
We can't get my brother back, and my family is in deep mourning for that. But through the process, of justice has been served. And I don't think that all police officers are bad cops, but there are some bad ones out there. And I don't want to see anyone get shot down the way that my brother got shot down. We've all seen the video. If there wasn't a video, would we know the truth? Or would we just go on what was reported earlier? But we do know the truth now.
The sound of a mother crying because she lost her child is something that all of our thoughts, what we believe, what we think, or what we think we know, all that is mute. Because if you've never heard the sound of a mother cries after she lost her child, and if that didn't move you, something's wrong with you. And I know we have heard that sound, all of us have heard that sound enough for us to look into ourselves and change the situation that we're in. The problem is we're not doing it, and we're going to get to the bottom of why. You never hear black cops shooting white folks down, and you rarely hear the voice of black officers. Rick, why is that? Why would you hear these brothers getting killed every week, it seems like? Where's the black officers at?
Are there any black officers? I mean, that seems to be the question. A lot of them, they're just trying to keep a job, I guess. You know, they don't seem to have any say so, and we never hear any of them come out and try to do anything about it. So my question is, are there any black cops or so-called African American cops or whatever they indigenous cops?
Nisi, is that true? Are there any black cops? Because I mean, this goes on and on and on and on, and I haven't heard anything from the so-called African American officers. Are they complicit in this?
They are complicit. I agree with Brother Rick. Of course, they are silent partners. I'll put it that way, because when you wear the blue uniform, then you're not black. Okay, you're not. You just think you're blue because you have the cloak of blue, but that's only temporary, because we already know that the European Caucasian community has said, well, wait a minute, somebody has sparked it out there. I don't think it was our community. Said, well, what about the so-called black cop? He was there. So that's already coming out there, and he's likely going to be losing his job, and he's going to be sitting in the interrogation room with his eyes bugged all out and all that kind of stuff, because he was there. But when you have people who are complicit and they go along to get along, they're the same straw boss kind of people who want to be in this assimilated thing. And so when you come on board, you have to do the same things that they do. There is not an iota or a daylight's worth of difference in you. And in essence, there is no such thing as a good cop, because the good cops don't stay cops.
Sibling, is that the way you see it? Where are the black cops? Where are the African American cops? How come there's not an outrage? I mean, you would think that just the voice of the so-called African American cop. Have we been co-opted that much, Sibling?
Oh, yeah. You'll actually be surprised that in the city where that took place, there was 80% Caucasian cops and 20% African-American or black cops. And the individual in question about the cop that Nisi was talking about, the black cop that was first one on site, they're actually investigating him because it shows in the video, it seemed to be that he planted a gun on the the man that was shot. Now, I want to say this. I in no way support what the officer did. I am just in opposition of the ignorance of a 50-year-old man. Now, when you played the mother and yeah, I heard the violin in the background, but she raised that 50-year-old man that would get out of his freaking car and run from the cops. He ain't. I mean, the ignorance behind what he did. Now you say, well, he has a right to run from the cops. No, he don't. He don't have a fucking right to run from the cops. If you run from one of these pit bulls and you know that these son of bitches, whether they black or white, and they're designed to shoot your black ass down, you play the game and stay alive. Because we need as many brothers and sisters as we possibly can. This white man gets no pass. I hope they execute his ass. He needs to die. There's no doubt about that. But we cannot keep overlooking the ignorance of a 50-year-old. You crying for your baby. That ain't her fucking baby. That nigga's 50 years old, man.
Area code 605-562-3140. African Americans Ain't African. Please give us a call. Check us out on Facebook and African American Ain't African Check Room, or go to our website, AfricanAmericans.Ain't-African.org. Support us. You can purchase the book African Americans Ain't African.org. You can purchase the book African Americans Ain't African, what every African American should know. Go to our website and check us out. Rick, was the brother 50 years old? Was that a crazy move, a dumb move on his part?
Yeah, I think it was too. I have to agree with a sibling on that, especially the way he explained it. It's hard for me to top it anyway. But yeah, I agree. He shouldn't have done that because, like I said, they really have a license to kill, and that pit bull analogy is pretty good too.
So, so you're thinking. So you're saying a 50-year-old man. So could the officer have shot him in the leg? I mean, I know what you're saying. I'm with you both completely on this. The foreign agents are here to kill us out so they can take over our position on this planet. That's how I see it. Now, I know a lot of us don't see it like that. I know a lot of us are kumbaya and let's all get along. But how I'm seeing it and how it's been going, they're here to snuff us out and to take our place. So if I'm pulled over, I'm that age. I know how these cats are. To start running, I know they have license to kill. So we get in all this emotional mumbo jumbo, but we don't really look at our part in it. Nisi, what do you think about that?
Well, we have a responsibility to understand. To me, it seems so clear. If not now, then when? We have to start reeling ourselves back from these people, because we don't seem to understand. And when I hear our own people, people in our African American family, I suppose, even our indigenous family, some of them, so, we're still confused. They'll say stuff like, well, the police are here to serve and protect. No, they're not. They're not here to serve and protect us. These people are the equivalent of security guards. They secure property and assets and things for the plutocratic elite and the oligarchs, period. They are the frontline buffers. They do not serve and protect you. We pay them from our property tax money and other revenues based on them attaching stuff to you as chattel, but they're not here to serve and protect you. And so the very things that we say don't even make sense.
We have a responsibility to life. Sibling, how come we don't honor that responsibility?
Well, we don't honor that responsibility, I think, in the right way, because we don't truly understand how much power we got. Now, I want to definitely respond to what Nisi just said about the concept of to serve and to protect. Now, I'm a strong advocate of African Americans. Like, if let's say we're talking to a community of African Americans of 20,000, and they pretty much predominantly throughout a neighborhood, I would tell that community to hate their cops, to whenever you see the cop, put a middle finger up there and fuck the police. Would I tell them to do that? No. What I would tell them to do is, when you learn how to use community power, one of the things that has been taken from us as African Americans, we've been taught to say fuck somebody that's going to be roaming through your neighborhood with a fucking gun while your babies are in these neighborhoods. So when we as adults put that mentality on our children and they don't know how to respond to it, they are saying fuck the police, when in actuality, you need to have and understand how to use more political power. Because the goddamn Ethiopians come to this goddamn country, they're not getting shot down. And so even some of the goddamn Moors, I heard a Moor make a very interesting statement. He said, our people don't get shot down because we wear the fez. The African American is the only person on the face of the earth that's targeted for death like this, and it's only because we don't have any community structure where we have a better communication with the police department. We are always taught to be in opposition of these motherfuckers, and I want to end with this, and that is, they are here to protect and serve, but they are also here to kill. If you put them, it's almost like fucking saying Raymond Shaw. If we want to act nigger with them, you know, I know they're going to say, well, Chris Rock, I think Chris Rock is being targeted to be messed with by cops. But I believe that we can control it by getting more involved with politics on the city level and the state level. I ain't worried about the presidency, but the city and the state level, we learn how to influence those politics, because that's all that's going to move. Ain't nothing going to change till we get involved in that.
So how was the cop's life threatened? You just said that we've been taught to say fuck the police. How was this cop's life threatened? From everything that you saw, this brother was running away. He didn't look like he was in very good shape. So he's running away. How long would it have took that cop to call for backup and apprehend this cat? Because they had the brother's car.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, I think a lot of times we get into things and we just get emotional about it, and when we go on our emotional rants, we could really, really be in kind of out of pocket. How was this cop's life in danger, Rick?
It wasn't in danger. Point blank. His life was not in danger. And just like you said, hey, they had his car, they had everything. They could have called him. The guy was no threat to them. They did not have to shoot the guy.
So what's the bottom? So this is my point. This is the bottom line of all this, and that's why I play respect yourself. See, we don't seem to we have this death halo hovering around our head, and many of us still entertaining ourselves. Many of us can't wait till the next episode of Empire come on, but we have this halo of death around our head, and everybody seems to be okay with it. I mean, we're not making any moves. The mainstream aren't making any moves. Is this just how life? Is this just how life is, Nisi?
It's choices. It's a choice. These are choices that we make. And then I just want to make one little point and follow up with what Rick was saying. I really don't think it's not. European Caucasians use code words. Yeah. That's the farthest thing from their mind is fear. They're not afraid per se. Now, if it was several so-called black men, they might be afraid, but they're not afraid. You know, when they outnumber one person or they're standing there with a gun, the fact that you run from them, that angers them. So they'll say, they can't say that they're angry because you ran. They're going to say that they were afraid. But in reality, they were angry. How dare you run from them? They're giving you a command, or, you know, they say that they gave you a command, whether they did or not. So all of this has to do with anger. They say cold words like, I thought he had a gun. I was afraid for my life. You know, any number of things. Or he went for my gun. There are about 5 or 6 different code phrases that they say. And as soon as they say that, then it casts a spell on the greater masses, like, oh, well, okay. And there are no videos for most of these things. So we're okay with being spellbound with these code phrases that the cop has said because they're angry. You know, we have the angry white man syndrome, and that's where we are. But we also have the brothers playing into the angry white man syndrome.
Well, this brother had in this video, there was also a Negro officer in on the scene, and they saying that from the video, it seems like the cop that shot the brother went ahead and planted this taser on him to back up his story that the guy tried to get his taser. Walter Scott tried to get his taser, but there was also a Negro officer on the scene. What does that say about us, sibling?
It says that we've been infiltrated for a long time. There are clones amongst us. The 50-year-old dude that got shot could be a goddamn clone because he did some really clone shit. Clones don't think about what they do or the jeopardy they put their lives in because they are stuck on the amygdala-orientated thought process, which is what Nisi was talking about earlier, fight or flight. And when you're stuck into that, that's what clones do. So I say a brother who have his shit together and who have his mind right, wouldn't have never did that. So, but what threat did he cause to the cop? I'll say this like this. It's like a football game. You can have a coach that can cause that football game, the players to win the game or lose the game based on the plays that are given. There are times that these cops are told and forced to be more aggressive. And we don't know when those times are, so all I'm saying is we need to take a more objective view that white folks are always, as a whole, afraid of us coming out. Like right now we're tapping on the fact that we're not from Africa. That is a scary thing to a lot of white people, but for a whole nother reason.
Rick, is that seems to be the truth that many of the so-called African American, they are clones, being that they're not thinking they're not thinking in the life affirmative. Many African Americans, most African Americans, don't even think. Does that make us clones?
Yes, because that's not where we originally come from. We were never clones, so yes, I think that they've worked on us and put it in our heads, and we've become clones of what they want us to be. We're not ourselves, and that's why we're in this situation. And until we become ourselves and to start to bring life back into our lives, this stuff is going to continue to happen because we think that death is part of life.
The thing that gets me about all of this is we don't really, the people who are in these institutions where these things happen to us, I mean, in the NBA, if something goes on with one of them brothers, you have a group of people who come in, the NBA Players Association. They'll come in and, give the player protection. Even if the player's wrong, they will at least stand up for him. But it seems like in this case where, this is all over the country, these brothers being killed, and these cops are just complicit. They have nothing to say. What does that say about us? And I want to put this in line with this. We had a post today about these three triple graduate magna cum laude from Norfolk University. They're triplets who just graduated. I guess magna cum laude means, I don't know, they're the highest graded in the class. My question is this, and this goes along with the cops. I don't know of any, and I'm sure there are probably some out there, but the people that go on to go to these universities and get all these accolades and awards, they very rarely come back and help the community build themselves up. I'm talking about very rarely. And we can start with teachers, ministers, and all these cats. When these people go ahead and get all this pat on the back by the mainstream, they never really come back and help. To me, this is like the cops who go off and be cops. We're getting slaughtered. We're getting put in jail for all kind of foolishness. And there's not, there's individual pockets of a few people saying something. I'm talking about the people who are in these institutions. Is that what we're doing? We're getting in these institutions and sacrificing ourselves and sacrificing the greater good. Nisi?
Well, when it comes to our pseudo intellectuals, it makes me think about what Will Du Bois said about the talented tenth. I learned about that in high school, probably, I don't know, 9th or 10th grade. People were lauding it and talking about it. You know, this was in English class and stuff, but that it didn't make sense to me. You know, you want the talented tenth to be this group of people who really are aligning themselves away from the greater collective. And the more accolades they get, the further they run in the opposite direction. And that's pretty much always been. So what we end up doing, I guess, as a people, we try to be hopeful that this one or that one, that they'll go and venture out and they'll come back and hammer some nails in the foundation for the greater good of the collective. But it's never enough because they don't. And people want to be advantaged. They don't want to be, quote unquote, on the losing side. And that's how some of our people who are advantaged with the intellect, the money, and so forth, that's how they feel. They dare not come back and be part of the losing side because they don't want to be poor again. They don't want to be into that quagmire. And that, you know, that's how many think.
Well, what do you say about the parents? Because isn't it the parents who push these children into this type of lifestyle? So, like you see on all the license plates or the bumper stickers, my child is an A student, my child is this, my child is that. Do we as parents push our children into those type of lifestyles to move away from the community? Nisi?
Yes, we do. Because people want to, we don't even have to go and put the intellectual kids and stuff, put them to the side. How about the parents whose kids are just natural in sports and they ride it from pee-wee football all the way to college? They are living their lives vicariously through this child, hoping that they hit the lottery through the child. That's what they're doing. So, of course, they are pushing them, and they're pushing them away, and they'll say in one breath, don't forget where you came from, but wink, wink, yes, you do. Just take me with you. That's what they're saying.
So is that what we're seeing? Is that what we're seeing with the phenomena of cops really quiet on it. Now in South Carolina, they charged this guy with murder the first day. And now I don't know if that's going to happen through the trial, but we are eerily silent on that. So is that what we're doing to ourselves, making it if one of us get killed? We don't really give a shit about ourselves. It's okay. Just keep on going. And could it be you or your son or your daughter next? Sibling, your thoughts on that?
Well, of course, if any of this kind of crap hit close to home, of course you got to start evaluating your life and all kinds of things about how we were raised and how we protect our children, whatnot. But here's what I feel is a better question, and that is, why aren't we talking about all of those little girls that have been getting raped in Louisiana since I think it was like 2011. They've had an epidemic of rape going throughout Louisiana of young black girls, young indigenous females. I'm talking about 14, 12-year-olds, and I'm talking about grown-ass men as if though like this is something, a new part of this sick culture. We're not talking about that. What about the black cops in Chicago that was caught shooting cops, shooting young men, trying to get them to fight like they did in Los Angeles? So I'm saying there are much more important things that we should be focusing on as a people, but we tend to focus on whatever white folks put on our plate. Now, we've been eating from these son of a bitches for how long now, and they've been poisoning us, and yet we still want to eat from that plate? I don't think so.
So what do you think the solution is?
I think the solution is for us to come together, all right, to the best of our ability without losing your individuality. Without you using your individuality, we need to come together and agree on a couple of things. One of the first things we need to agree upon is we need to be a little bit more conscious and aware of all of the subject matter that's contained in these incidents that white people are putting out in front of us. If we don't start evaluating these things, we're going to just realize later on that they're using it as a technique to sway us emotionally back and forth, keep us on this fucked up roller coaster where you won't really be focused on what's important, and that's you being successful as a people.
For raincoat.
I
don't know.
Let's go to the phone lines. Area code 651. You had something you want to add?
Mama don't need it. Where's the stuff?
Let me go back.
651. You have the floor. Rick, your thoughts on what Sibling just said?
Well, I just think that that eventually, man, we're going to have to come to the conclusion, man, of how we're going to continue as a people. And I agree with the community meetings and stuff. I think that's a great way to start. But we're going to have to come to that conclusion. We're going to have to, some way, we're going to have to come to some kind of agreement on something that can get everybody to the table. Because that seems like the hardest thing. And although, and I know we've mentioned this on numerous occasions, and we'll probably continue to mention it, you know, they got us scattered all kinds of ways. You know, like you say, we Africans, we Muslims, Jews, you know, Buddhists. I mean, they got us spread all kinds of ways. We the people of Shabazz, and, you know, so, you know, it's kind of hard to get people together as a community, but somehow, some way, we just got to find a way.
Well, I want some answers to how that's done, because I'm trying that. I'm in a very heavily populated Christian, so-called Negro Christian community, and anything that takes away from that, they don't want to hear it. Matter of fact, they will kill for Jesus. The average Negro will kill for Jesus, not even knowing what it is. But when they see their fathers, sons, daughters getting killed, and they don't have, I mean, it's like when they see that, to me, it's like a program. When they see themselves getting killed, it pops it in their mind that they can go ahead and kill each other out. Nisi, your thoughts on that?
We need to start valuing ourselves. I keep coming back to the things that we let seep into our psyche, the things that we hold on to. And this has gone on for so long. We are a very wounded people, okay? And we don't realize that our healing comes from within us as a collective. If we can get ourselves, our greater parts of our wholes, to understand that, I think we could make tremendous headway.
So, but how are we gonna get that to? I mean, how is that gonna happen? Because communication with us seems to be destruction. How do we sit and how do we do that? How do we make that happen? Area code 4. Go ahead. Go ahead, Nisi. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I'm just thinking about what you're saying. How do we get young people to engage? How do we get them to have heart for each other? And I mean, I heart you. I love you because you're one of us. I'm one of you. You're one of us. That's missing. It's been missing for a long time.
So do you think it's that the love that we don't have for ourselves? Because it seems like the love that we have for self. I'm not talking about my love for the people in my community. I'm talking about the love we have for ourselves. Is that posing a problem? Is that a big problem in our community, Sibling?
Absolutely. It's not only, and you know, it's interesting when you say the love of self, and you started the song with respect yourself. As a people, we have been trained like monkeys almost to only respect and show interest in whatever the white man put on his magical Wizard of Oz screen. But the truth is, the degradation of our people goes far beyond just how we view ourselves when we look at ourselves in the mirror. It actually goes down to the root of our ancestors. And one of the things that you say, okay, what can we do? Well, one of the things we got to do is we got to reunite consciously with what the ancestors are really about, who they are, or do you supposed to be leaving some goddamn fruit on the altar and all of that shit, or do that ancestor want to be born again? See, we're so disconnected with our ancestry and that energy that, you hear people talk about somebody grabbed the wheel when they was about to get into a car wreck, and they say, that spirit was with them. Those are our ancestors. Many of us have been taught to leave these spirits fruits and vegetables and shit that are all over altars, when what these spirits really want is for you to get in a healthy relationship. If you're a sister, get in a healthy relationship with a healthy male where he calls you his wife. Brothers, get into a healthy relationship with a woman that you call your wife. That's what the answer. This is one of the main reasons why we don't have that other level or that ether level of protection as a people as a whole. We're disconnected from the real idea of what the ancestors want, and that's to be born again.
Let's go back to the phone lines. We got a couple of callers on the line. Area code 302. You had something you want to add?
Absolutely. Thank you, first of all, for taking my call. And to piggyback, to swan back on what the brother just said about the ancestors, he's absolutely right. Kudos to that. And one of the ways, one of the suggestions I would like to offer to everyone is one of the ways we can start feeding that energy, the spirits of our ancestor is, sometimes we have to, we can make moves without people knowing the moves we're making. And when I say that, I mean, like, one of the ways to start revitalizing our ancestors is, number one, look at here, niggas. Look at here, brothers and sisters. There's a free service called Ancestry.com, FamilySearch.org. Only thing you need is just one name, one or two names. Start there. You'll be surprised. Once you start putting in names, you start finding out information. They're going to get all this stuff for you. You don't even have to even worry about taking a train ride or buying a plane ticket to fly to the southeast if you're living in a different area. You can get all this information via internet right now. As soon as this program is over, I submit to everyone, if you have not started checking out your family tree, then you ain't nothing but a nigger, for real. Okay, nigger, not nigga, but nigger, okay? So that's one way. And once you start researching your family tree, trust and believe, you are now paying homage to your ancestors. You are now feeding that energy, and they will start talking to you. You'll be surprised. And another thing, let's say if you have people in your family who are holy rollies and whatnot, just like the brother said, unfortunately right now our people are under this I call it a spell of, oh gosh, that's necromancing and whatever the Bible and all that stuff, because I've been in all of that stuff. Hebrew Israelite, Islam, Christianity, you name it, Buddhist, all that stuff. So, and with that being said, a broke clock is right twice a day. So I ain't crapping on nothing, you know what I mean? But on the same page, start doing that. And if you got somebody who's like holy roly, listen, you can still, because remember, on one hand, they're saying, you're not supposed to entertain the spirits. That's of the devil, and that's a whole other talk show. But on the same page, these are the same people who talking about a Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit, and they don't even know that mug. You see?
That's right.
So all I'm saying is, instead of wasting our energy on conversations about, the Holy Ghost is still a spirit, and our answers are spirit. Look, dude, listen. Sometimes shit is just shit, and sometimes shit is fertilizer. So use that alchemy. That's one way. We're looking for solutions. That's one way. Everybody right now who's listening, go on Ancestry.com, FamilySearch.org. They are free. Okay? You can pay if you want, but it's still free. I've been on them for like 3 years, so get that. That's one way to start, and also, once you do that, you'd find out when you start finding out the timeline, you'll see ain't nobody in your family from Africa. It ain't happening. In fact, the word didn't even exist back then for our folks. So anyway, do your homework, folks. Do your homework.
Melodic Queen, thank you very, very, very much. Area code 334. You have something you want to add, brother? Area code 334.
What's up?
What's happening, brother?
I don't know, man. Hey, I hear the conversation, man. Everything is cool. I'm not even. Man, she said something about listening to your elders. Once you start connecting, once I broke free from that false ass Christianity, and I knew it was whack. I'm just gonna say it. I knew it. I love people, but now all of them know. For the last 2-3 years, since my light just completely came on. Now I got another group of elders stopping by and sharing information, huh?
Yes, sir.
Because and they didn't go to church, and all that, and they, it just like the young lady say, they open up, but they want to know you for real. You know what I'm saying? Huh?
Yes, sir.
So we just keep punching. Our people been dying. And like the brother said, our people been dying. And they sit out. This the fucking TV box. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, we should be mad, but we should be mad for that brother we don't know who got killed. You know what I'm saying?
Well, sir, do you have any sons, grandsons, granddaughters? Are you in that position?
Yes.
So when you're in that position and you see that, because I realize a lot of us don't have children, I realize a lot of us really hate children. We don't even really like children, because if we did, we would be giving them something more than that, the crap that we're giving them. What do you feel like when you see something, or the children getting gunned down like that, or the young males getting gunned down like that? Because that could have been either one of us that got killed. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I didn't, I asked because I saw it on the internet, because that's where I get by. I can't watch TV. But this is it. I was, when I was the pastor and we had stopped the violence, we had several shootings here in our area. But what they want to do, they want to talk to these folks. They don't want to go to the street corner. They don't want to go in the hood. They don't want to go to where our people and talk to them. They want to sit around and goddamn talk about have a meet. Huh? Well, y'all talking about the people, but they're not here. You follow me?
Yes.
You need to be we need to be, and I told him I had to disengage, because I've seen, sometimes our people could be so goddamn naive. You know what I'm saying?
So when you say naive, so what is the purpose of this? Why isn't that? It's like the sister was saying. How come we're not trying to get knowledge? I mean, because most Christians say our people die for lack of knowledge. Well, why aren't we trying to get that? Why isn't knowledge on the front burner of what we're trying to do?
Well, brother, this is what I'm finding out. People just goddamn scared. Huh? And, these white folks, they embarrassed because, they told them, say, well, you ugly, and, this ain't the proper way, and all this stuff, and some of them still hold on to it, And I mean, you can't change the damn past, but like I say, it's in the air. This sparking, the spirit, everything. We better take this, we better take this strong wind of change. We might not see it completely change, like when Barack Obama was, I know that's another show. It feels good because of my generation, because I live segregation. Huh? And I know the shit was wrong, but then again, you had the classes inside of it, the people I'm talking about, Jesse Jackson and all them, the niggas just making money. I'm going to keep it real. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And my folks didn't fall for it, They didn't. Huh?
Well, sir, you're absolutely right. We can't change the past, but we can definitely affect the future. Lovely day. Did you have something you want to add?
Well, I can add a little something. Hi, everybody. I looked at some of the footage and I couldn't finish watching it all because I just felt so powerless. And I know that we did not come from a powerless people. My thing is that when I interact with my friends and my family and the ones who do not want to acknowledge who we are and everything, I understand why they want to be labeled an African from the continent of Africa, and it's because they're not ready to do nothing, and they're I can't say lost, is that they're angry. I know that they're angry, but they just don't want to do anything. They have no more fight in them. So what I've been doing is bypassing them and talking to the children. So how could I make a change of this? How could I, what contributions could I make? And I start with the children. I work with the children.
So when you say they have no more fight in them, who are you talking about? Who are you referring to?
I'm talking about the collective.
So as a collective, the so-called African American don't have no fight in them.
The so-called African American is they're dead.
The African American is, there's not really too much information to refute that, and that's what I'm saying. So what makes you think they're dead? And I'll go around the table on that. This sister says the African American is dead. Sister, could you elaborate on that?
The African American does absolutely nothing for their collective. Very, very selfish. Very, I'll say jealous. Very exploitative amongst each other. Don't want another person in the collective to leave them behind. They want to keep you where they are. And that's just the bottom line. That's what I see, and that's what I work with every day. I see it all day, every day.
Interesting concept. Sibling, did you want to comment on what the sister said?
Oh, absolutely. I would like to say that she's absolutely right that we are dead people. And the interesting part, because Easter just passed, and I would like to propose that because, and this is the way genetics work, we have thousands of years of the concept of someone dying for our sins, so forth and so on. We've been under the influence of that for quite some time. So when it comes to the concept of Easter, this is what I would propose to the indigenous people. Just like Sister Georgia said, we are a dead people. In the mythos of Easter, so was Christ dead, so are the people, we're dead. But I believe that if we can come together, hey, every Easter and celebrate it as our day that we will one day resurrect as a people, we will collectively give power to our true awakening as a people. Don't get rid of, it's kind of like the baby with the bathwater. Let's not throw out their holidays. Let's rearrange their holidays to benefit these indigenous ideas so we can figure out and awaken from the dead sleep. That I believe that mythos of Easter was always talking about us as a people, never one man. I just believe white folks stole the mythos, put a white dude named Bodega, I think, not something like Bodega, something I can't remember his whole name, but that's our mythos. We're the people that's gonna resurrect. So we're truly the Jesus of today.
Nisi, are we dead? Are we like Lovely Day said? Are we a dead group of people?
We're a fractured people. That's my thoughts about it. You know, being of a certain age, having lived, having my own life experience, coming from the South, seeing people who, are part of the boule and the this and that. We are people who like puppetry and pageantry, so we gravitate to these things. And we like shiny stuff. I remember growing up as a child, my grandmother said, you don't see them that much, but you used to, even in the city. Crows were very bold birds, and you know that they're all black, so are ravens. These are very bold birds. A crow, if they saw something shiny in your yard and you could go and find a crow's nest, they have watches and rings and all kinds of things in their nest. So, when I think of us as a people looking for our identities, those people who are looking in the wrong, on the wrong path, we hope that they get on the right path and start their own research. But, we're more like a quilt. A quilt is a finished product. It's patches and it's patchwork, but it's a finished product, and there is nothing stronger than a quilt that you can buy in a store, but nobody makes them anymore. So I simply would suffice in saying that the very simple things that we used to do, I just can't fathom how we're going to go from A to G and leave out all the simple steps in between. Those things that make so much sense to do, that are so small but very important, we're not doing any of that. So I don't know how we can come up with the larger solutions for problems when you want to just go from, you want to leave out steps. So these things make sense, and we're not doing any of that.
Rick, the sister made a nice point when she said that we don't produce, we don't distribute, we don't teach our own children, we don't get our own food. To me, that sounds like a group of people who are really dead and are just hoping to be resurrected by somebody else. Your final thoughts on that?
Well, I wouldn't say that we were dead. I would say we on life support. I would say that we're probably on life support, and because we do have people out there, like this panel, like all the people on that comes on the chat rooms on African American, African, and all the other people that we've met, although all of us put together is probably a small amount. So we do have people, that's out there trying to get something done. So we was probably on life support and not actually dead, because we can turn this thing around.
Well, the solution that I have, because one of the things that we always ask, and I think when people ask this, they really not looking for a solution. They're just saying it to get out of the conversation, because since they haven't came up with a solution, they don't think nobody else has one. But the solution is thinking, y'all. We got to start thinking. That belief and that stuff that we do, what we think, because we don't think. The majority of us never had an organic thought in our life. So the solution is thinking, and we got to keep that in mind. Nisi, can you close us out?
Absolutely, my brother. I'm going to borrow from Brother Rick with a word for tonight. The word is conspiracy theory. Now, this is absolutely a word that we, of all the groups of people, should never use. We need to stop casting spells with words and end up becoming swords for us. Conspiracy theory is a word used to thwart inquiry and critical thinking. It's actually coined by the CIA COINTEL. We fall into the traps of ridiculousness that stifles our knowledge by ridiculing one another. We see countless times when we have discussions and dialogues and even debates, and we delve down into the muck and mire only to try to tear each other apart with swords, which are words turned backwards with an X. In so doing, we cancel our reasoning and deductive logic in lieu of being on the bandwagon of the blind. This, family, we must stop. We have to remember, hope floats It's the buoyancy of life. But at some point, you have to attach a propeller. At least you'll find yourself continue to float aimlessly and never reach the shore. And with that, good night.
We have a responsibility to life, y'all. We just can't look at life as a game to be played. We have a responsibility to this. And I think it's time that we honor this responsibility, because it's like the sister was saying, we're dead, and dead people. I didn't take that she meant dead as like we're all dead under the ground in the casket, but dead people. I got the metaphor. Dead people are unable to move. Dead people are unable to recognize what's going on amongst them. And I think if we're gonna stop seeing this death around our head, because that's my whole point. Why is death always surrounding us? And death is always surrounding us because we don't have no allegiance to life. So with that, I'm going to shut it down. I hope everybody have a good weekend. I hope everybody's new year is going fine. Remember, when spring starts, that's New Year's for us. New Year's in the dead of the winter, that's their time frame. It's New Year now. Now is the time for us to start planting. Now for us, it's time to start growing. So with that, everybody have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Please.